Jafffa Adventures, Terry King here. Welcome to the channel. Have a look at this. See that little strut here that I've got that's holding the tent up? That's prompted me to put this video together. Now I've had my Bundutop tent now since 2018, and I've done a very detailed video review of the tent and the awning. And in fact, that video is the one that is performing the best out of all videos in my channel, funnily enough. So having owned it since 2018, I've had it for a few years now, and there are a couple of failures that I've had on the tent, and I'm going to share those with you now. And that piece of steel that you see there holding the tent up, that is the first failure that I'm going to talk about. And that particular one has happened to me on 2 or 3 occasions now. All right, we're inside the tent at the moment, and it's in a semi-erected state, so probably about halfway up, I guess. If you have a look at that turnbuckle there, these turnbuckles, they hook up to the cords which wind around the winch and allow you to lift the tent up and down. And that is what they're meant to look like. The turnbuckle on this side, you can see that's come off there, and there's our turnbuckle hanging there. So basically, that needs to screw into the base of that. And when those two come apart, then obviously this arm does not work in terms of erecting the tent. Now this particular failure has happened to me on 2 or 3 occasions now, so reasonably numerously. And what I think is happening is as the car's driving, these cords are kind of rattling inside of the tent here, or there might be some harmonics inside of the tent, and they just slowly undo themselves. And when they do undo themselves, that particular arm doesn't... It happens randomly, so this particular arm is the driver's side arm up at the front of the tent. It's happened on other arms randomly as well, so it's not just one spot. Because it's happened a few times, I'm going to throw a little bit of Loctite on those now. Just a bit of Loctite blue, and maybe that will be enough to prevent these things from spinning off. All right, I got that all fixed up now, so no problem there. I went and checked the others, and there's a classic example right there. You can see that that one has been backing itself out, and it is not too far from letting go itself. That side's okay, and as is the other corner. So that is one of the issues that I've had with this tent. I'm going to now tighten that one back up and hit that with a bit of Loctite, and we'll see whether that fixes it for good or not. The next issue that I've had with the tent is this. And that is not normal. All things going well, the sides should tuck themselves in just like that and just like this. So to determine why that does that, we need to climb back up inside of the tent again. So this is how that system operates. There's some aluminum extruded channel here, and attached to that channel is this shock cord, which runs along here to the other side of the tent and attaches to a second channel. Now as you're lowering the tent, these aluminum extrusions fold inside of the tent, pull this shock cord in, which tucks the sides in. So what's happened here is the cord is actually broken. And now I'm not going to be too super critical about that. That cord's, 2018 I bought the tent. That's been used a heck of a lot of times. So, you know, it is a wear part. But just be aware of that if that shock cord breaks, your tent sides will not pull in. One thing that I did do, and I did note, if you have a look at where that shock cord ties into, it's a flat washer, and they put the shock cord through the flat washer and then tie a knot in it. I have had those knots pull through those flat washers. So what I've had to do is I put a little bit of Celastic on them, and that's actually held them, and it's worked quite well. You can see there's a little bit of Celastic on that shock cord, and that has eliminated that pull through issue that I had 100%. So on this one, I'll simply replace that shock cord. So I got this stuff here. You can pick it up at Spotlight, or probably any sort of sewing shop, or you can get it online as well. It's 2mm shock cord. And after replacing that shock cord, this is how it's meant to tuck in. Now here's an issue that I've heard other YouTubers call as an issue, and it's actually not. See this cord here? I've heard others say that that cord should be running in that roller, and in actual fact it's not meant to run in that roller. So this cord jumping out of this roller being an issue is not an issue. That cord's not meant to be in there. And you can see on all four corners, that's the second corner, not meant to be there. That's the third corner, and that's the fourth corner. And you can see that it doesn't even line up with those rollers, so it's no wonder it's jumping out of there if people are putting it in there, because they're not meant to be there. These are the fans that are located in the tent. There's two of them. I have had one of those fall out. It's a carpet-covered aluminum box, and that box is simply Sikaflexed to this roof panel. And that Sikaflex came loose on me once, and that fan was sort of hanging. No big deal, just put some new Sikaflex in it, popped it back up into place, and it hasn't moved since. And that's been, that happened to me a couple of years ago, and it's still rock solid. The next issue that I've had with the tent is on one of these corners. There's a rod that runs through here into the corner of the tent, and that rod is connected to the arms inside the tent. So as you lower it, this rod pulls in, and when it pulls in, it pulls this corner of the tent in. And you can see the canvas here is affixed with a pop rivet. The top of the pop rivet through a flat washer, and the bottom of the pop rivet. On this corner of the tent, I've actually had that pop rivet let go. So you can see it's meant to pop rivet through there, and she's let go on me, and now that corner of the tent is just floppy. So the repair there is obviously pull that back around and put a new pop rivet in there, and I'll get a washer that's actually a little bit larger diameter so that it doesn't perhaps pull through again. The final issue that I've got, which is not the tent's fault by any stretch of the imagination, more my fault, and you probably can't see it, but there's a little dent in the roof here, and this is where the rollers run along the top of the tent. And the reason that I've got that dent in the roof is because I had this thing unlatched in a windstorm, a very, very heavy windstorm, and the wind actually got up underneath the tent, lifted it up, and then slammed it back down. And when it slammed it down, it put a slight bulge in the roof of that. But like I said, that's not a tent manufacturer's issue, that's user error. As an aside, and for anyone interested, that's the solar panel setup that I've got on the roof of this thing. 3 115 watt panels. So that's a total of 345 watts. And when that's in full noise sun, that's pumping in close to 15 amps into the battery, which is just awesome and well and exceeds my usage during a day. I've seen a couple of reviews on these tents on YouTube, and one of the issues that somebody highlighted were that these turnbuckles were all rusted, and they were quite crusty. As you can see, mine are in pretty good nick, and those are what, 3 or 4 years old now. I do clean the tent regularly after I go out, so if I do a beach run, for example, the car and the tent get washed down, and that could be why they're in the shape that they're in, is because I'm looking after the thing. One question that I get asked all the time about this tent is, what happens if the electric winch fails? Or what happens if the electrics fail on the thing? Can you still get the tent down? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. Those are your switches for up and down. The first thing that you can do is you take these two covers off, and you can get a jumper wire and jumper between those two ports, and that basically bypasses all of the electronics and puts straight 12 volt to the winch, which is inside of the tent. If the issue is that your winch has crapped itself and it's not actually working, you can manually lower the tent down. I've never had any dramas with the winch. I've never heard anybody who has had any dramas with the winch, so that particular one doesn't scare me off at all. Short video, I know, short list of issues. None of those issues, I believe, are systemic or critical. Anybody with a little bit of nous would be able to sort those out. No dramas whatsoever. Again, I've had this tent since 2019. I love it to bits. I would absolutely run out and get another one if I had my chance over again. I did pay full noise for it. I'm not sponsored by Bundutec at all. In fact, I'm not sponsored by anybody. So take that into consideration when you're looking at reviews out there on YouTube. Thanks for watching, everybody. This tent's going to get a flogging over the next few weeks, heading up to Cape York, to the eastern side of the Cape, and going off-road and bashing through some pretty remote areas. Stay tuned for that one. That should be awesome. Keep your shiny side up, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye now.